What if Mount Rushmore is built on stolen land? What if the Supreme Court of America already agreed? What if every American who sees it tomorrow sees something completely different? And it's come stay with me. And what is Paha Sapa? And why does it matter? What did the 1868 Fort Laramie Treaty actually guarantee? Why did America break the treaty 6 years later? And what did the US Supreme Court say about Mount Rushmore's land? And why did the Lakota refuses $1 or $2 million from the US government? What is still happening in the Black Hills right now? And who decide the carve American presidents into a sacred ground? What does a Mount Rushmore mean to the Lakota Nation today? And what if this land was taken illegally? What does every American owe to the people it was taken from? I am going to answer every single one of these questions today, and I promise you by the end of this video you will never see Mount Rushmore the same way again. And today it is the story, the real story. I cover the documented American history your classroom skipped. Mount Rushmore is not just a landmark. Here is the thesis of this entire video. Mount Rushmore was built on land the United States government stole. The Supreme Court said so in 1980 on the record. Every American visiting the mountain was never told what they were actually standing on. Today we say it plainly. And what is Paha Sapa to the Lakota Nation? Paha Sapa, the Black Hills of South Dakota, the Lakota spiritual tradition, the heart of everything that is. Not a metaphor, a living sacred geography, burial ground, ceremony site, spiritual center of the Lakota Nation for the thousands of years before America had a name. What did the 1968 Fort Laramie Treaty promise? The United States government signed the Fort Laramie Treaty in 1968. The treaty guaranteed the Black Hills to the Lakota in perpetuity. Perpetuity in plainings forever, no exceptions, no expiration. Signed by the US generals, ratified by the US Senate. The legal language was clear. The promise was absolute. Bless your heart if you think that promise was lasted. And what happened 6 years later? In 1874, General George Custer led an expedition into the Black Hills. Custer's team found gold. The US government tried to buy the Black Hills from the Lakota. The Lakota refused. You know what? The US military moved in anyway. The dog won't hunt, but they sent in anyway. And what did America legally justify? What happens next? They didn't. That's the whole point. Congress passed an Indian Appropriations Act of 1876. The act stripped the Lakota of the Black Hills without a payment, without consent, without legal process. The direct violation of the 1868 treaty the US had just signed. And you know what? Holy shit, that wasn't a gray area. It was documented theft. The Mount Rushmore, when was it that built? Gudjon Broglam began carving Mount Rushmore in 1927 on the land of Lakota had never legally surrendered. Broglam himself had documented ties to the Ku Klux Klan. The American presidents carved into most sacred mountain of the people whose land was actively being legitimated in American courts. That's not a footnote, that's the whole damn story. And what did the US Supreme Court rule in 1980? United States versus Sioux Nation of Indians. The Supreme Court ruled the Black Hills were taken illegally. The court awarded $1 or $2 million in compensation to the Lakota Nation. The Lakota Nation refused the money. The money with interest now sits in a federal account. Now worth over $1.3 billion, still refused every year. Why? And why did the Lakota refuse $1.3 billion? Because money was never the point. Paha Sapa is not for sale. It was not for sale in 1868. It was not for sale today. The Lakota position unchanged for 150 years. Return the land. Honor the treaty. That's all. You can put lipstick on the settlement. It's still not justice. What is the still happening in the Black Hills today? Mining operations still active inside Lakota Treaty territory. American federal land management still controls Paha Sapa. Lakota Nation still bringing legal actions in American courts. The Standing Rock protests from of 2016, same battle, different pipeline. Every American who watched Standing Rock on their phone was watching 150 years of broken American promises play out live. And you know what? What other American cases prove this pattern? Paltier, American Indian movement leader Leonard Paltier has been imprisoned since 1977. International human rights organizations call him trial deeply flawed. He was released in 2024 after 248 years after age 79. Sounds familiar, right? What does the pattern tells every American? Treaty violation, in plain English, a promise broken by the more powerful party. American legal history is full of documented treaty violations. Over 400 treaties signed with Native American nations, every single one broke or modified by the United States government. Not my first rodeo, and this is the oldest American pattern. There it is. Sounds familiar. And here it is the final truth about Mount Rushmore. It is built on a stolen land. The Supreme Court confirmed it. The Lakota Nation has refused compensation for 44 years. The refusal is the most American act in this entire history. And every American visiting this monument tomorrow deserves to know what they are actually standing on, not to feel guilt, to feel accountability. There is a difference. Americans knows the difference, and that is the only truth that matters here. And ain't that the truth? And it is been waiting 150 years to be said. And you know what? If Mount Rushmore was built on stolen land and every American learned that in a school, what would change tomorrow morning? I need your opinion in the comment box. I'm waiting for your opinion. Thanks for watching this video.